G'day Roosters, let's draw a rocket in AutoCAD. So this is an AutoCAD basic tutorial, but trying to draw something fun, and the reason for that is if it's fun and you enjoy it and it's a bit quirky, you're more likely to remember it, so you'll be a better CAD drafter. We'll loosely base it on the Falcon 9, but as I look at it already, it's too long. I'm going to do a single stage rocket. 70 meters, 3.7 meters high. But we'll deal with that later. Now, SpaceX, an American company, 100% all American employees, lists metric first in bold because metric is the language of science. This is from feet. It's from monarch days, kings and queens. This is sunset on this. Get rid of it. Stick with metric. Let's go to AutoCAD now after that rant. So let's draw a line. I'm teaching you command-based AutoCAD. If you learn how to use the command line, you can use AutoCAD old and new, and you can use different types of CAD systems that are similar, like IntelliCAD, DraftSite. You can pick them up and start using them straight away. So learn the command line first. It's the superior way to learn. So line, L, is a shortcut. You can control shortcuts in Express Tools command aliases. L, click a point, any point, point straight down. Now, I have what's called ortho on, so that means it can only go straight down or can go to the side and go straight up. It doesn't go on an angle. If you press F8 on your keyboard, it goes like that, so you can go into other directions. Press F8 on again, ortho on, point it down, type in 70, and it does a line 70 meters long, or 70 units of unspecified units, just 70. Now I want to go, I've still got a line here, so let's point out that direction, 3.7, that's the diameter. Fantastic, that's the start of my rocket. I want that line on that side, which is the other side of my rocket. Well, I could draw a line, 70, but what I'm going to do is the copy command, C-O-P-Y. In my system, I've changed that to C as a short key instead of circle, because copy you use all the time. So why not have the one letter short keys as the main commands? Copy, select the line, hit enter. Now I've got a snap here. See how this snap point, and this is why it's CAD and not just a like paintbrush program. It's accurate, super accurate. That end point there, it's got a little green square. That means end point. Now if I hold shift down and right click, you've got snap points. You can change those. Now I've got end point as a default. So back to copy, copy, enter, select my line, hit that point, and then hit that point, and it copies it over there. Now you might be wondering how I'm moving around the drawing. So there's a couple of things I'm doing. So first of all, if you're in really deep and you want to get out because you've lost yourself, Z, enter, E, enter, zoom extents, that's called, and it goes out to the whole object. Now the middle button in my mouse is a scroll wheel. If I scroll it up or down, it zooms in and out. If I click on it, it does pan. You can type in pan in AutoCAD and it does a very similar thing, slightly different look. No, it's exactly the same actually. And so you can use a combination of click, roll, scroll, and the zoom. Other one I use is window, so Z, and it's set to window as a default. So you just click 2 points and it zooms in like that. Let's connect these two lines together. So line, L, endpoint to endpoint. That's great. You'll see those different snap points will change depending where you are. If I wanted to draw a line down the center there, you can see there's a little triangle. That's midpoint. Now we'll see that later on. Now like I said, I didn't like the length of this. I want to do a one-stage rocket. So I'm going to introduce... Actually, yeah, no, let's stretch it down first. So we're going to stretch this endpoint down. Now what I'm going to teach you now is about crossing windows. So if I've got a line over here as an example and I wanted to use my copy command again, if I go from the left hand side to the right hand side, it won't pick up the line. But if I go from the right hand side to the left hand side, it'll pick up the line because it's a crossing window. Now if I go back to that, I just hit shift there and unselected that. If I do a window that covers both endpoints, it'll pick it up, that line. Because I didn't cross over both endpoints, it didn't do it. Now the reason I'm telling you that is one of the things that's important for a stretch command. So STRETCH, stretch. I'm going to select these endpoints up here. I want to stretch those down. So I do the crossing window. Select that end and select that end. So it only stretches those endpoints. So I can shorten this. So I hit enter on that because I've selected everything I want. Displacement is like copy, and I hit my start point and I point down a direction. Let's go 40,000. So am I still in, what units am I in now? I'm still, before we do that, I want to change this to millimeters instead of meters because I'd rather use whole numbers instead of decimals. So first of all, so we'll come back to stretch. So let's type in scale command, select the objects that we want to scale, and then click a point where we want to scale it from. So I'm going the midpoint here, the bottom of my to-be rocket. Now if I typed in 2, it's 2 times bigger, of course, but I want to go to millimeters, which is 1,000 times bigger than meters. So just type in 1,000. Now I hit Z, enter, E, enter, and now I'm in millimeters. So that distance down that end, and then I use the distance command there, DIST, is 70,000, which is millimeters. So let's go back to our stretch command, and we click the crossing window, the endpoints, and now my displacement, 40,000 millimeters, 40 meters. That looks pretty good. Now let's do the tip of the spear of my rocket. So this is a piece of art or fun, so we don't need to be dimensionally accurate here. So I'm just going to eyeball this. So I'm going to draw a line, and I'm going to do shift right click and hit nearest, and I'm going to do it, say there, and then I'm do shift right click nearest and go down here. That's the beginning of the top of my rocket. Now I want to fillet that. Now that distance, the distance command, DIST, click that endpoint and that endpoint. See, that says 8,000. So it gives you an idea. We can do quite a big radius there. So let's go fillet command, FILLET, and go radius, R for radius, and put in, say, 12,000. See how that goes. Now I want to select the 2 lines that I want to fillet, which will put an arc between the 2. And there's my arc. So it's, the top of the rocket. Now those 2 lines I want on the other side. And that line is exactly the width. So if I've got the midpoint of that line, I can mirror down the center axis of this rocket. So mirror, M-I, or M-I-R-R-O-R is the full word. If you ever get stuck on you can't remember what a short key is, just type the whole thing in. Mirror. It'll work. That's the actual command. So M-I, select the 2 objects, and as you can see, I hover over that line, I get that little triangle, which means midpoint. That's that one, midpoint. Mirrored it over like that. So I'll just do that again slowly. MI, select the 2 lines, select, so hit enter when I've selected everything, hit the midpoint, and then I point straight down, which is the center of my rocket, and click enter, and it's done it. Now that line is surplus, I don't want that, so I want to trim that one off that one. So trim, T-R-I-M, TR for shortcut, select the object I want to keep, and is my trimming line, enter, select the bit I want to get rid of, done. Let's curve that top of that. Fillet command. Now, well, I use the fillet command, but what do I need to type in to make it look right? So there might be a bit of trial and error here. I'll use the distance command, and it tells me it's just over 700 wide. So if I go fillet, radius 700, just see what that looks like. It's too blunt. It looks like a ballistic missile. I don't like that. I want to make it like a fun rocket. So let's go fillet and click radius. I did 700. Let's go 300. Select my 2 lines. Yeah, let's do it like that. Still looks like a ballistic missile, but that'll do. So that's the shape of a rocket. Now I've got to have the bell nozzle at the bottom. We won't do a bell, we'll do a trapezoid. And I'll use and introduce a new command here called offset. Now we know that distance across the diameter is 3,700. So let's make our bell a little bit, not the same width, but shorter. And I'll use the offset command to offset that line. O-F-F-S-E-T, offset. 2,500. Select my line, click down there. There's the start of my bell. I want it smaller than the top above. I'm going to use the scale command, S-C-A-L-E, scale. If I select, now we used that to get to meters to millimeters before. Now we're going to scale an object down to make it look a bit more like the bottom of a rocket. So select the object, select my start point for displacement, which is the midpoint, the little triangle again. If I put 2, it's double. If I put 0.5, it's half. Decimals. So if I put 0.75, it's about 2/3. That looks pretty good. Now I can draw a line here from this endpoint, got a little square there, so that's right, and to that midpoint. Now the problem with that type of bell nozzle is if I mirror that over, it doesn't look right, because how does the fuel get into that and exhaust out? How does that rocket lift? Now I can use a stretch command there and move that over, but I'm going to use grips. Click on the line, you got these little blue squares, they're called grips. Click on the grip and point the direction you want to go. Now be careful you're not near something that you're going to snap to. That looks about right. And now I'm going to use the mirror command again, MI. Select my line, select the midpoint, mirror it over. That looks pretty good. Let's pimp up our rocket a bit with some fins at the top. I'm going to draw a line up here. Now F8 turns off ortho. I'm pointing it out in that direction. 2,600 will do. Yep, that looks great. Press F8 back on. Point it in that direction. Just click anywhere. Now I've got that surplus there. Use the trim command again, TR. Click the line as the trimming line. Hit enter, do that. Let's mirror those two things on the other side again. Much like before, select my 2 objects, collect a midpoint. Well, that's, you know, how you can do it like that, but I'm going to show you another way, which is really cool too. Mirror, select my 2 objects, hit enter, shift, right click, mid between 2 points. Now let's grab that endpoint there and that endpoint on the other side. Now that is the middle of my rocket. So that's the same as before. So that's a great little power tip there. So let's put some fins at the bottom. They're sort of like landing legs and some plumage. So first of all, the landing legs, we'll just use the arc command, ARC, and we'll eyeball in something that we like. So arc has a lot of options, but we'll just use the one it starts with, which is start point, somewhere along the arc and the end point of the arc. So let's do the start point, the end point there, point out in that direction somewhere, have an arc go like that. Yeah, that might work. Don't know if I like this. Arc, select the end point here, select up higher, and then pick shift, right click nearest, just do that again, nearest, and then pick that line there. That's just not right. I don't like it. I'm going to do it again. I just don't like the shape. Make it a bit tighter. Arc, endpoint. Looks like it. Let's just, so I'm going to copy that over there, and I'm going to erase the things that I want to see, and then I'm going to do rotate, because I've just noticed something. R-O-T-A-T-E, rotate. Select those objects with the crossing window, click enter, hit a point, and then turn it around. Shark fin, baby! Okay, let's mirror this thing over to the other side, these fins at the bottom. Select my objects, select the middle. Got that. It's looking like a rocket now. Plumage, plumage time. This rocket's taking off in atmosphere. So I'm going to draw a construction line from the middle there down to here. That's OK plumage. And then I'm going to do an arc. So that's temporary. I'm going to erase that arc from that point to somewhere down there to here. Excellent. Then I'm going to mirror again that to the other side. It's really looking like a rocket now. So portholes. This is going to be a fun rocket. So circle, circle, type circle in, shift, right click, mid between 2 points, here and here, and just eyeball this. Properties command is where you can control things. Now often I do circles like this. I just draw a circle and then I just eyeball it and then I work out, round up the whole number. So that's the properties command. If you ever lose your properties command, just type props and it'll pop back up again. Select my circle and see here it's got diameter. Let's make that 1300. Okay, that's my porthole. Now let's do 3 portholes down the side. First of all, I'm going to copy the porthole and my displacement, clicking out somewhere there so it's not in the way. Let's go 3000 straight down. Excellent. Now the other way you can get another hole there is to copy it, or porthole. So copy again, copy, select that object, and now displace from the center of this circle. So see how there's a little circle there? So it's got the center, you know that, and then down to that one, center, and you've got the portholes and they're evenly spaced. So that's our rocket. Let's give it a title. This is text. 2 types of text in AutoCAD, multi-line text and single line text. Now single line text, for those that used AutoCAD 12 back in the day, which I have come from, was single line text. It's the only text you had. If you wanted to do multi-line text, you had to do it manually. Now mtext was a great introduction a long time ago. Multi-line text, it's the one people use the most. mtext. Now you can see here that I've got this, the current text style is standard and the text height's 2.5. I have this in millimeters and it's pretty big, like it's 30 meters high, or 30,000 millimeters high. So it's going, this text is, you're not going to see it. But let's draw it anyway and we can see that. So let's click 2 points for our window for our mtext and we'll call it my, let's do all capitals, come on, let's be technical, my space rocket. Okay, just click anywhere out of that and it's finished the text. Now you can't see it because it's so small. What you can do here is if you did a window, just click 2 points, see what happened there? Because that text was inside that box, it picked it up, but it didn't pick up those other lines because they weren't crossing both ends. That's a handy tool. Now I've lost my props, so I can type in props, properties box, it comes back up. Let's make that 2000. I can see it. Now you can see the width here. I can't adjust that there because the way I've started that mtext, but I can grab this grip here and pull it out, and that's my title. Now like I said, that style was called standard. If you want to change that, you type in style. And there's standard, and you can see it's my favorite font, Swiss 721 CNBT. It's a very good technical font for use in CAD drafting. I leave the height as 0 in there and control that on the objects. Now let's color this baby in. We're going to do that with hatch. If you type in hatch, this is what you get. Now this is, you get command line options to drive it, but the ribbon is fantastic in this situation. It just makes it a lot easier. Now we're going to use solid hatch mostly. There's a lot of other options that are preset and you can download some and customize your own too. So let's use solid. Now I'm going to select my 3 portholes and I hit enter, and notice how that hatch is all linked together. Now I'm going to do B hatch again. Oh sorry, that's another way of getting to hatch. BH by the way. It's just a legacy thing, but it still works. Select my fins there, enter. Select my fins here, enter. And select my nozzle, enter. Select my plumage. I like to call it plumage, it's a funny word. And this looks a bit boring, so, and you can see that there's separate hatches there, those solid hatches, and those ones too are linked together. Let's put a band there to just make it a little bit more interesting. So copy that up twice. I just eyeballed that, but that'll just give it a bit more bling. Okay, that's my coloring in. Now we want to do some colors. Now I've drawn everything on one layer in this situation. Layers are great when you have a complicated drawing and you want to control objects easily and add new things. Layers are 100%, you need to learn how to use those. So layer command, you can add names and colors and you can control a lot of things through layers. Now I'm going to do it by objects on this one, just keep it simple, but I recommend that you spend time playing around with layers. So let's put our band first and we're going to give it some colors. So I'm in my hatch there, see how it says color? I expand that out and I can scroll down to the bottom and it says select color. So there's index colors, true colors and color books. So I mostly just spend time in this area. So if it's an index color, often I just use those for drawing in CAD. So I've got a black background here, so sometimes colors are for the screen and not for the print. So index colors normally print black, the way I've set it up. So I recommend stick to that. If you want to do color, go to true color. So if you wanted red, you clicked red here and then you went to true color. See, it's got RGB there. Let's just make that red. That looks great. So I've got a red band. Now I select these portholes. Let's make those a funny yellow. You can see I've already played around with some colors in here because it's got a memory of it. Pastels are always good. Let's go for lighter colors. So you can see it goes darker or lighter as you pull it up. And it was changing it on the screen too, which was cool. Okay, that's excellent. Oranges? Orange? Maybe an orange? Color? The fin, select color. Let's just select that one. Ooh, that looks cool. Here's a cool tip. You can match something to another thing. MA, select, which is match prop. Select the hatch there and then select this one here and see how it's matched that properties. You can do that line, text, all sorts of things. I think I want to put something on the nose cone that's different too. Let's put a line across that and let's move that hatch down. So move, crossing window, selects the hatches in the line, move that down 1500 and hatch again, select internal points, solid hatch, and it's got to be a red. It's got to be, let's get a red going. Let's get a red of sorts, maybe a lighter red. It's becoming orange. I'm going to match that to this. And this, actually I'm going to match that to that as well. Don't like it. Change it. Color. Let's go for a grey. See, what you can do too is if you're over in the index color, you can click on and say, oh, that's grey. But then when you switch to a true color, it gives you what that one is exactly in RGB colors. And you notice how that number there, you can type that in. You can, like I can just type in a number there. So if you wanted to copy and paste a color number, you can just do it like that. So let's go for a light grey there. Now the plumage down the bottom is going to be fun because we're going to use something called gradient. Let's select the hatch here and see how it's got solid here. Switch to gradient. See what's happening here? Now let's see what other options there are. Let's do, I think this one. But we're going to make that dark and that light. So the colors aren't right. So we want this to look more rockety. And I know rockets when they're burning well are blue. But let's do orange because that looks cool. So more colors. We're going to start up in the reds. Something darky red. Well, not that dark. Ugh. Ooh. That'll do. And then we're coming out to something more yellowy. Orangey. Something like that. It does look a bit like a rocket taken off. There's my rocket. I don't like that red top. I think I'm going to go orange up there as well and make this one darker. Is anything preset in there? Don't know if I like that anyway, but it's cool. So there's my space rocket in AutoCAD. It's a fun little thing you can try out. I'll show you how that prints too. So if I go plot here, now I've already got some things set up. So it'll probably, no, I haven't got anything set up. I've got CTP there. I'll just ignore that. Normally you want to do that. We'll talk about that later though in another video. Let's go down to DWG to PDF and do a metric sheet size, A4, extents, center to window, plot, fit. Let's just see how that goes as it is. I've got no settings there, but I've got style, plot with styles, so there's some settings in the objects there. Let's just go preview that and see how it looks. Whoa, look at that. See how that hatch there isn't right? It's because of the draw order. If you type in, so I'll just go cancel on that, and I'll just type in draw order and then click my hatches. They're all selected, enter, and then press B for back. Now do plot. Again, just go to previous plot, extents, fit to paper, preview. See how that's looking right now. Now what I will do now is change that to extents to window. Click my window and click 2 points. My space rocket. Preview. Oh, rockets! Plot. Okay, I'm going to drop that into a folder. AutoCAD for beginners. Let's draw our rocket. Get rid of that model off the end. And there's my rocket drawn in AutoCAD. Hope you enjoyed that basic AutoCAD tutorial.